A lot of people believe that their college years are some of the best years of their lives. And while that can be true, it's certainly not an easy experience. So based on what I have learned as an entrepreneur and a college student, I'm going to share some tips you can use to make the most out of your college years. And before we begin, remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one. So the first one is try out a bunch of things. It's not unusual to find students that struggle to find a major that they like or a career path that they want to specialize in. And this is because they usually haven't found something that really motivates them and that they're really passionate about. So my advice to you would be join activities or clubs that you wouldn't normally join just for the sake of getting more experience and trying out a bunch of different things. If you're in this position, you would ideally say yes to everything that you come across, even if it's outside of your comfort zone. Because you never know, you might end up liking it and pursuing it as a career. Or you just found a new hobby. Either way, you're probably gonna find that it's worth your time to try different activities. The next one is to take care of your finances. So we all know that college can get very expensive. And I can confidently say that everyone's goal is to finish college with as little debt as possible, or having no debt at all. So you want to save as much money as you can while you're in college so that you can be set up for the future, or you can reduce your debt significantly and not have to pay for a number of years after college. And there are a lot of ways you can save money while you're in college, but some of the simplest ways I have found are you can rent textbooks instead of buying them, or you can see if the information that your class requires is online so that you don't have to buy a physical textbook, or you can even ask some of your friends that already went through the class that you're going through and see if they can lend you their textbook. You can also live in an apartment with a few roommates so that rent is not as high. And if you can, try not to live on campus because it can get pretty expensive if you live in the dorms. You can also live with your parents for a few years if the university is close enough to your parents' house. Listen, whatever you can do to reduce the amount of debt that you will pay in the future, just do it because I promise you it'll be worth it. And if you live in the US, try to start building your credit score as soon as you can. But remember that I'm not a financial advisor and I'm just here for entertainment purposes, so take my advice with a grain of salt. The next one is that time management is super important. And if you thought that high school was time consuming, just wait until college because college is on another league of its own. You're gonna have to balance your time between going to classes, studying, social life, going to work and other activities. So I use Google Calendar to schedule all my activities for the week every Sunday. And that way I can schedule all the important activities that I need to do. And what I do is I schedule all the important activities first, so that way I can see what needs to get done that week. And then I try to schedule all the less important activities that still need to get done for the week, like social life or whatever, work. And based on my experience, I can tell you that making the schedule is the easy part. Sticking to the schedule and saying no to things or to people that require your attention when you already schedule an activity is the hard part. So don't be afraid to say no if somebody requires your time when you have some other important activity that needs to get done. The next one might be a little controversial, but it's work hard, play hard. And I can tell you that it's so easy to get caught up in wanting to be the best student, the best employee at work. I'm exactly like that. But my advice to you would be to have a balanced life, as balanced as you can, because if you focus too much on getting the best grades or making the most impact at work, it's gonna lead to burnout eventually. And you're gonna hate your life, you're not gonna wanna work there or study anymore, and it's gonna be worse than if you took some time to actually have some other activities in your college life, like social life or other hobbies. And another point is that you don't want to have any regrets when you're done with college. Like, I get it, you want to have the best grades, you want to get the awards, and you want to be recognized for all your effort, and you want to be the person that actually made a difference. But you also don't want to look back when you're done with college, when you're graduating, or after you graduated. And you look back and feel all the regret because you didn't get to live that college experience that you were trying to find. And you weren't too involved in activities or clubs or sports. So make sure that you work hard and play hard. Just remember not to do anything stupid that could set you back in the future. The next one is to build your network. Back in high school, it was relatively easy to make new friends because everyone knew each other from middle school or from previous years. But in college, you're gonna have to go ahead and talk to different people if you wanna make new friends. And I can tell you that college is amazing to practice your social skills and try to meet new people. And if you're an introvert like me, I can already hear you saying, yeah, right, like I'm actually gonna talk to people. But hear me out, because these are one of the most important life skills that you will ever learn. And you're gonna have to develop it in college or in your first job or in the future. But would you rather have your career on the line while you are trying to develop those social skills? Or would you rather develop them in college while you're still in a safe environment? And you have to remember that it's not only new friends, the people that you're trying to meet. Even if you don't know it at the time, you're making connections for a new job, for a career opportunity or a business opportunity. You don't know who you might need in the future, and you don't know how those people that you're gonna meet are gonna be able to help you. So it's better to start forming connections and start developing those social skills. The next one is shoot your shot. And we have all been there. There is this guy, this girl you're trying to ask out on a date, or you're trying to apply for that internship that you don't really think you're qualified for, or that job, or that project that you're procrastinating on because you don't know if you can actually pull it off. Yeah, I've been there myself. But my advice to you is to just shoot your shot. You never know if something is going to work unless you actually try it and see what happens. And I'm going to tell you from personal experience that I used to defend my lack of action by saying that I wasn't brave enough to take that first step. I actually had this misconception where I thought that people who were brave and that actually took that first step and took action on their dreams or their projects, I thought that they were never afraid. I thought that they were just supernatural or weird. I thought they were these superhumans that never felt any fear. And I found out that that is absolutely not the case. In fact, everyone feels fear in one way or another. And of course, some people feel more fear than others. It's just the way we are. But I found out that no matter how much fear you have, you can't let it stop you from taking action. To be brave is to feel fear and act in spite of the fact. It's not someone who acts because they never feel any fear. So yes, I'm telling you to take calculated risks. And if you're enjoying the video, make sure that you hit the like button because it helps with the algorithm. The next one is to find out what you're good at and double down. The truth is that it takes time to find your strengths, but when you find them, make sure that you double down on them. There are two schools of thought for this one. One of them says that your strengths should be developed to the point that nobody else can do what you do, or nobody can do it as good as you can do it. The other one tells you to focus on your weaknesses because that way you can have a more balanced skill set. And it also says that it's going to improve your confidence as a result because you're gonna develop the skills that you struggle the most with, which makes sense. But I believe that if you want to be great at something and you want to be the best in your industry, you have to take the skill set that you're already good at, your strengths, and you have to develop them to the point where no one else can catch up. And self-awareness is extremely important to see what your weaknesses and strengths are. So make sure that you take the time to audit yourself to see where you fall short or where you exceed at. The next one is don't be afraid to be the black sheep. Listen, I know that college is a high peer pressure environment. You might be trying to make your parents, your family, or any other mentor that you look up to proud. Or you might feel pressure into doing something that you might not feel comfortable with just because everyone else in college is doing it. But you have to understand that this is ultimately your life that you're living. And you have grown up to the point where you are independent and you need to start taking care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually. So if something doesn't resonate with you and all your buddies are doing it, don't be afraid to say no. And at the same time, if you feel like you should start doing something that everyone else is not doing, you need to go ahead and start doing it and don't worry about the opinions of others. The best way to do this is to have a guideline you can use to make choices accordingly. So I define my values that are important to me and that I will never break, that I will never compromise. And I base my decisions based on those values. And every time I have to make a decision, I use those values to make it. And it has worked for me pretty good so far. The next one is learn how to work under pressure and manage stress. If you're already in college, you know what I'm talking about. You know how stressful it can be when you have 4 assignments, 2 exams, and 1 presentation in a week. You have to juggle between regular work and schoolwork and social life and maybe other activities. But the truth is that college is like a training camp for real life. So if you don't know how to manage stress and you don't know how to work under pressure, you're gonna still suffer after you graduate. And one way you can deal with pressure and stress is to form habits or routines that will make everything more efficient. And you can have different routines for different things. You can have a routine for studying, you can have a routine for exercising in the morning, because if you don't exercise, you're gonna gain weight and you're gonna be tired and you're not gonna have that stamina to study all evening, or that attention, that concentration is not gonna be there. So you wanna have routines and start forming good habits that are gonna push you through the stressful moments. The next one is to focus on your path only. And one of the things that I used to do is I would compare myself to everyone around me. I would compare myself to the people that had already finished college and already had a stable job. I would compare myself to other entrepreneurs who were making 10 times what I was making. And even when I wasn't making any money, I was comparing myself to those who were actually making money. And this would affect me a lot emotionally, because I would see people with the same routines, the same work ethic, the same background, and they were doing so much better than me. I couldn't understand why, and it was so frustrating to me. And then I understood that even if two people have similar backgrounds, they're in the same industry, or they're studying the same classes for their major, the same friends, they could be getting far different results. Just because there is that unknown element that people call luck or God or the universe, where you don't really have control over anything else apart from your daily inputs. So two people could be getting results that are so different and yet have everything else look the same on the surface. Which is why I'm begging you to choose the path that you think is right for you and then stick to that. And don't compare yourself to anybody else. And if you ever need to compare yourself with something or someone to measure your performance and your results, make sure that you choose your previous results or the previous version of yourself. The next one is to embrace your mistakes. Even if you were to find a video of someone that spends 2 hours talking about what to do in college and what not to do in college, you're going to encounter experiences that you have never dealt with. So what I want to tell you is, don't be afraid of making mistakes. Everyone is gonna make mistakes at some point. Make sure that when you make a mistake, you own up to your mistake and you learn from it. You don't want to repeat the same mistake, but you want to make new mistakes, because that's how you grow, that's how you learn. So embrace your mistakes and learn from them. But I'm curious to know, what was your biggest takeaway from the video? So put it down in the comments and I will read all of them. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you want more videos like this one, and I will see you in the next one.